Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Carole Baskin from Big Cat Rescue, and I hope the wind noise isn't too bad here. It's really blustery today. Not so blustery that we have to lock the cats up from their roof section, so Max back here has been doing his laps, and maybe we'll get a drive-by from him. I'm probably within the spray zone, so warn me if you see him coming, right? So, I wanted to clear up something because I had heard, and this is mostly a message for our volunteers here at Big Cat Rescue. I've heard that some of you were kind of upset because you see me doing selfies with people all over the place because I can't go anywhere without people wanting to come up and do selfies, and that I've gone to a number of big events like the Texas Animal Control Association. I think there was probably around 500 people at that event. I went out to do the secret knock. There were 300 people at that event. I've made 3 trips now to talk with members of Congress about the Big Cat Public Safety Act. Each one of those trips, I had over 30 appointments, which meant each office and all of the people in those offices and doing photos and selfies with all of those people. And then people ask, well, why can't we have parties at Big Cat Rescue like we used to before COVID? And so I have let Erin and the people on the volunteer appreciation team know that it's okay for them to go ahead and set up a party if they can do it in a way where we're not going to be confined indoors or exposing the cats. And so I don't know if that's going to be at the sanctuary or if that will be at some off-site event, but I think it is time that our volunteers be able to get back together and see each other face to face, and so I'm very happy about that. But I wanted people to know why it is that I'm doing all of these other events and interacting with all of these other people when I haven't been doing so with you guys. And part of it, I think, is because maybe most people don't realize that we are very, very limited as a 501c3 charity in the amount of donations that we can make to change the laws. We can't rescue our way out of this problem. That's never worked. It's never going to work. The only way that we can end the abuse is to change the laws so that people can't get their hands on these big cats in the first place. And the primary driver of people getting their hands on lions and tigers is cub petting. People posing with these cats online, making other people want to pose with cats, and driving all of that breeding, abuse, and then discarding of the cats. So if we can stop it at its root, then we don't have to rescue cats and they don't have to spend their lives pacing around in cages. He's not coming back into sight, is he? He's just not. I don't blame him at all. So, as a 501c3, we are limited to, and this is an exact number, it's a huge technical calculation of how this comes to it, but in essence, we can only spend about 5% of our expenses each year. If I got that right, 5% of our expenses each year can go to grassroots kind of things. None of sanctuary money can go to trying to get politicians elected or endorsing them or doing anything to get the right people in the right seats. So all of the money that I spend doing that has to come out of my private bank account from the money that I make doing real estate and working here. So I can't take any of the money from the sanctuary. None of the donations go toward any of some of the most important things that we have to do to protect these cats. And so I have done Dancing with the Stars. You've seen me on a bunch of game shows. You've seen me do these events like the Mighty Muscles event and the ones that I mentioned earlier, Secret Knock. There's been a bunch of them where they have paid me personally to go to those events, or they have in some cases made donations to Big Cat Rescue. But the ones where they've paid me personally, the money has been earmarked in my mind and in what I've been doing to spend it. If it comes to me personally, I have to pay taxes on it just like everybody else does, and then with what's left of that, I can then spend that on getting the right people elected. And so that's what I've been choosing to do with my money. But in order to do that, I've had to go and do these things in person. in order to lobby members of Congress. I've had to do those things in person. And so all of those things have put me in a position of having to be in close proximity to a lot of people. And I managed to contract COVID doing it. And so I ended up spending 10 days thinking I was going to die, having to stay completely away from my home because I didn't want my husband or Jamie to catch it, and staying away from the sanctuary because I didn't want the cats to catch it until the very last 2 days. And then I spent that in one of our efficiencies, but never came onto the sanctuary grounds as I was getting tested to make sure that I was completely over it. So all of that exposure to people has resulted in damage to my health that I don't think I'm ever going to recover from at this point. I recognize things after COVID that I've heard other people talk about, that like my teeth just hurt all the time. My body hurts all the time. And I don't want our keepers and our cats to have to go through that. So I've done everything that I could to try and limit that exposure to COVID. We've been closed for over, 2 years now. And that's over $1 million a year that we're losing in income because I don't want these cats to suffer the way that I've just recently suffered. Before, I could only imagine how bad it is. Now I know how bad it is, and let me tell you, go get vaccinated. I was vaccinated twice and I had the booster shot. So I had triple vaccinations before getting a breakthrough case of COVID that just knocked me off my feet and has lingering effects now, 2-3 weeks later, that I just don't know if that's ever going to go away. So all of this is to say, when you see me posing with people and doing selfies with people other than these guys, all of you guys at Big Cat Rescue, it's not because I love those other people more. It's because I'm trying to raise money to end the abuse so that big cats don't end up in cages and that we don't have to rescue them from horrible situations. So thank you for understanding. I'm sorry this was such a long video with no cat. No cat in the background. Yeah, I could have done this at my desk and it would have been a lot better audio experience for you. So I'm going to see if I can clean up the audio any, but thank you for hearing me out. Mwah.